All you have to do is set up a retargeting. 9 times out of 10, video is going to be the best. You're going to want to show them new content. You're not going to want to constantly be showing them the same video over and over and over again for a month.
Hey everyone, this is Nazar Akil from Max Pro.
Hi, I'm Linda.
And I'm Paul.
And we're 11 Pebbles.
Hi, this is Lopa Vandermersch from Rasa.
Oh, you're listening.
And you are listening to the E-Comm Show.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Maff.
I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I'm going to be talking to you about leveraging Facebook and Instagram specifically to gain more sales and more leads. And today I'm going to social media is going to be the theme for the week, which, yay, social media. I know it's overdone, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And today specifically, I'm going to stick to strictly organic. So, and by organic, I mean just posting. I'm not going to talk about any kind of paid advertising with the exclusion of boosting and things like that. But so one of the things I wanted to talk about is something that I've always found is what I've believed to constantly be the missing link between Facebook and Instagram. And a lot of businesses don't do this. In fact, I think there's only been several times where I've started to work with a company and they already had one of these people in place. And it's a game changer for social media. And it is something that I think everyone should do and is absolutely worth the investment if you're doing any kind of additional posting on social media. So the obvious to me is the content. It's not something that, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you've listened to other marketing podcasts and they're always preaching about the content needs to be quality, the content needs to be quality. So I'm not going to sit here and do that because it's obvious. So obviously we're assuming that you have some good content that you're putting out. If you don't, UGC is my favorite way to go. So user-generated content, if you can find some content from your customers or from your leads or from past clients or anything. But so we're going to talk about how to leverage the organic posts to actually start to bring in sales and bring in leads, or even just grow your email list in general. So one of the things that I find most people don't do, they get these great content, they post it on social media, they study up on the best times to post, and I should post at this time, and then I should, I gotta wait on Thursdays because my audience is here at this time. Great, you spend all this time making this great content, and you just post it out there, and hopefully you respond to all the comments that are being mentioned in whatever post you put out, right? Great, awesome. That is nowhere near enough, and that's not going to drive anything. If you imagine you had a Instagram page that's starting literally from zero. You could post every day at the exact perfect time. It's not going to go anywhere. You can leverage hashtags, you can do things like that, and yes, it will help, but it's still going to take a very long time. The biggest thing to me has always been what I have, at least where I work now, we've kind of dubbed what community outreach person. So community manager is basically what we've dubbed this role. I outsource it 9 times out of 10 until, at least on an agency side, until we have enough leverage at a company that they agree that, okay, we can bring someone on full time. So essentially, go to Upwork, find... if your audience is English speaking, find someone who's great with English, who knows how to write, and then send them over what I create. What we do is a brand voice guideline. So once you've figured out your brand voice, write out, here's what they would say in this situation, here's what they would say in this situation, here's grammar they would use, here's punctuation they would use, things like that. And so you want to add all that kind of extra stuff in there and send them a brand voice guideline, send them some stuff to test with, like, hey, you're going to want to sound like this. They're going to do strictly outreach. Maybe you'll have them respond to comments and posts on your content that you're actually putting out, but have them strictly do outreach. So if you're on Instagram and you have all these hashtags that you're using, have them go to said hashtags and start a conversation with anyone on their post who are using those hashtags also. It's not someone who goes to the hashtag, goes to the top post, and then goes, hey, great picture with like a thumbs up emoji. That does nothing for anyone. It needs to be a very thought-provoking, well-written comment that clearly states, like, I read your post. And not literally states that, but it should say something along those lines of, hey, I read your post. This is great. This is what I think. This is this. That is that. There's no action item. There's no CTA. There's nothing that I'm asking you to do. It's just starting that conversation. People will then get curious and come back to your page. That is the most organic way to get people to come back to your page without doing any of this follow people and then unfollow them, or like every friggin' post that's ever used this specific hashtag. That kind of crap used to work. Doesn't really work anymore. Now you got to try harder. Now you have to actually show what you're doing. Facebook's algorithm and Instagram's algorithm is definitely catering towards this. In fact, I think some people get shadow banned now for liking too many things. So you're actually going to want to go out and you're going to want to have a community manager. It is hands down the smartest thing to do, is definitely what I would suggest doing. My favorite way to do it is for when I have someone come in for a new brand, I keep them limited to 10, 15 hours a week. Say, hey, let's just see how this goes for a little bit. And then as I start to see results, then we start to improve from there and we start to scale. And that's when you start to bring in someone else, that's when you start to bring in and allow them to bump up to a full-time job, or you bring in someone else, or maybe you then bring it in-house, or obviously things are different now. We're all remote, but you know what I mean? So that would definitely be the top thing I would mention. Now, you're going to want to make sure that they're always very aware of what you have to offer, obviously. So having them DM you, having them comment back, having your community manager then know, okay, we have this blog post that I could send them to help them with this issue they're having. We have this piece of gated content that I could send them to help with this. They need to know the tools that they have around them, and then that's what's bringing in your leads. It's great to have a conversation. It's great to bring in a bunch of followers, and I'm sure eventually they will end up over to your website. But if you're looking for more direct return, you're looking for more results faster, you need to make sure your community manager knows the tools that they have available to them, and then they need to find ways to get them out organically without just shoving them in people's inboxes and be like, hey, you look like you might like this. Like, none of this sales approach. It has to be a very organic. Your community manager is there to provide value for your readers, for your potential followers, and that's it. So consider your social media manager may oversee your community manager and help them understand, like, hey, we're going to do these types of posts this week, and we'll also communicate with them about, like, hey, this landing page is available, or this ebook is now ready, or things like that. But they are a part of the social media team, at least the way that we run it, and it's not someone who basically is scheduling. They're not doing scheduled posts, they're not creating content, they're not doing anything like that. Their sole job is to be on social media all day, or however long you hire them for, to actually start the conversation. That's what will get the ball rolling. That's what's going to bring in more leads, more people who are directly DMing you, more people who are going directly to your website and purchasing. That is what I think is going to be the biggest thing. Leveraging paid advertising on social media platforms to gain more leads, more sales, more purchases, whatever it is you're doing. So this one's my favorite. And one of the reasons I love this is because of all the things that I read on social media and all the things that I actually engage with, I get more Facebook ad coaches and gurus than I would be happy to admit. And I find these hilarious because so many of them claim to get your ROI from, 0, and we're going to grow you 450%. Like, great. Well, I was at 0, and that's not that much. So your metrics are BS, but that's my own issue. So we're going to talk about leveraging. The easiest thing, if you've never done social ads before, you have zero background with social advertising. Retargeting is the easiest damn thing you could do. It's going to almost always be your top returning campaign that you do, but what you're going to want to do is test the amount of time from when they've left your website, and obviously they didn't convert. So let's do lead generation, right? So let's say you're a SaaS company and you're driving all this traffic based on some blog posts that you've created. You're getting all this traffic, it's great, but you don't have any paid ad, you don't have any social ads running. What you're going to want to do is set up a retargeting ad. Now, that's someone who has left your website and didn't convert, and it may not be someone who's not a customer. It might be someone who you just haven't gained their email. So maybe your target conversion is an email generation. So all you have to do is set up a retargeting. 9 times out of 10, video is going to be the best. You're going to want to show them new content. You're not going to want to constantly be showing them same video over and over and over again for a month. You're going to want to change it up. So you're going to have to look into the timeline when someone leaves your website to when it is they normally will come back, or to how long it will take them to become a lead, or how long it may take them to become a customer. And you're going to want to break that up. You're going to want to segment it. So let's say on average, someone comes back to your website after 2 weeks, and you're going to want to speed that up. So you're going to set up a retargeting. You're going to create an audience for everyone who's been to your website in the past 7 days, and you're going to create an audience of all of your contacts that you have. And you're basically going to run that audience. You're going to run the 0 to 7 audience for website visitors, and you're just going to exclude all of your contacts. So basically, you're only showing this ad to everyone who's been to your website in the past 7 days that you don't have their email. This is the most simple one you can do. Set the retargeting, do the video, send them back to the website with some kind of gated content target. Now, there's lead forms on Facebook. You can do that, so they don't even have to leave Facebook if you don't want those. I would test those. You have to do those in a different campaign because they have a different objective. So you can do one as the target is a lead form. You can do another one where the target is a conversion, and you can A/B test sending them to a landing page. But I would set up whatever gated content you have, as many as you can do, and I would test them all. And you can set them all up where, hey, you came to our website, you liked this, here's a live calendar for you to download that you can, check or whatever. I didn't do the copy. And so you can try that one. So that's your 0 to 7. Then you can do a 7 to 14. Then you can do a 14 to 21. Then you can open it up and do 21 to 60. Like, you want to break it up because I've seen way too many people do retargeting campaigns for 0 to 60 days with like 3 different pieces of creative, which means that for the next, I visited your website and I'm now being punished by being shown the same 3 pieces of garbage crap content that you created for the next 2 months. That's ridiculous. So you have to break it up. Figure out where it is that they're more likely to convert and send it to there. A lot of times you'll find, hey, after 21 days, they're just they don't even care anymore. So you won't even have to set up that audience. Retargeting is the most simple one. So I want to spend the most time on that because if you've never done social media, you've never done social media ads, I don't care what business you run. Everyone I've ever talked to about like, oh, social media ads don't work for me, it's total BS if you do retargeting. The easiest one. Now, top of funnel stuff's a little different. May not always work. There is definitely some industries where I will agree with them that it can be difficult to do top of funnel stuff. And it's usually someone who has more of a need than a want. So for example, a dentist isn't going to do a top of funnel ad saying like, hey, I'm in your area and you have a cavity, like something like that. It's unlikely that a top of funnel will work as well. It's never going to happen. It's very possible, but it's unlikely. So if you're doing top of funnel one, there's a couple different ways. So top of funnel, 9 times out of 10, I'd like to do a video that goes directly to the website. Hey, check us out. This is what we do. Come to this website. And maybe it's going to a piece of content we made or something like that. It's not an immediate sale. It's never an immediate sale. Don't ever do that. Then what you can do is you're going to do, basically it's like a little baby retargeting. So you're not retargeting people that visit your website. If you do that video for the top of funnel, you can actually retarget people who saw the video but who didn't visit your website. So you're going to create an audience. 50% seems to be the one that works the best for me, but I would test them all. But you can basically create an audience of people who watch 25% of the video, people who watch 50% of the video, 75%, 95%, I think is the next one. So you can basically test those different audiences. So you can target people who watched the video but who didn't visit your website. So they showed some interest in your content, but it just wasn't enough to get them to the website. So now you have to just show them a new piece of content. So now you've basically created, in many ways, you can do 3 different campaigns there. So you have your top of funnel campaign, you have the little baby retargeting campaign. I can't remember what I think we call it like a top of funnel retargeting. I like the baby retargeting. And then you have like a true retargeting. If you're in e-commerce, you have abandoned cart. That's a very easy one to do as well. I don't care who you are. If you think that social media ads never work for you, that's not true. You can definitely do an abandoned cart email. That one's the most obvious. It's very simple. You simply just create an audience of people who who added something to their cart and didn't convert. The dynamic ads can sometimes be the best one. So the dynamic one is the one where it will show you the product with just a plain white background that they missed out on, that they left in their cart. You can give them 10% off for coming back and closing out your cart, or however you want to do that. So there's many different ways through there. That's the most high-level, basic way to look at paid advertising to drive leads and drive sales. Honestly, this isn't something that's mind-blowing. This isn't something that is going to be a massive game changer. I would say that the easiest thing for you to do, though, if you've never done them before, would be to set up a retargeting. And then, of course, if you're an e-commerce seller, at bare minimum, set up an abandoned cart. The top-of-funnel stuff is very different. That's the stuff where you have to do a lot of testing. You have to try new creative. You have to try new copy. You have to constantly be showing them different things and constantly testing. That is the more difficult way. However, it is absolutely the most lucrative. If you can get a great top of funnel piece of content, like I said, most of the time video works the best. Carousels can work really well also, especially if you're doing Instagram or something like that. The dynamic stuff, I've always had better luck with it much further down the funnel. So an abandoned cart, possibly a retargeting. And then there's a ton of other stuff too, which one of the things that I have done several times that always seem to bother people when I first pitch the concept is what I would call like just a thank you campaign. And this is actually someone who converted. So we're only targeting, if it's e-commerce, we're targeting purchasers. If it's a SaaS company, we're just targeting new customers or something like that. And so what it would be is basically you're sending out an ad to only people who have converted, and you're saying thank you. And you're going to offer them a little bit of something. And usually what I prefer to do, this tends to work the best with more B2B companies, where let's say you sell flooring equipment, which I've worked with more of those than I know at this point, or maybe you're a contractor or something. And at the end of this, you're now running an ad saying, thank you for working with us. Here is a Facebook group we've created that only has flooring contractors in it, and we keep it exclusive, and we just want everyone to help each other and build a community and blah, blah, or however you want to word that. And that is, funny enough, one of the most successful campaigns I've had. It always is an issue to discuss because there's no real immediate return on it. Your target is just how many people can I get in this group, but the benefit of that group is now you own that conversation. You're having that, you're able to see what it is people are talking about. Sometimes if you're, they may have a complaint about something you're working with, and it's actually a good thing because then people might even be able to solve that problem for them. So a quick little background, years and years ago, right around when Instagram came out, I was in an agency that focused on hospitality. So we were taking these great food pictures, posting them up on Instagram, and then just kind of hoping that something would happen. And it just never really worked, and it wasn't doing as well as it was. So shortly thereafter, I really started to dig into social media and Instagram specifically to try to figure out what it is I was missing. And basically, this is what I dove into, and this is now what I've proven is, okay, this is how this works. Now, there's the caveat of you got to know your audience, and you need to know how to do great creative, because if your creative sucks and your imagery is garbage, then no one's going to look at you anyway. But I'm going to plow through this. So first section we're going to talk about here, research. So follow your competitors, see what they're doing. Use websites like Answer the Public or Also Asked or things like that to decipher what type of content you're going to post. Use your Google Analytics to make sure you know who your demographics are. Find yourself a talented social media manager and a community coordinator, as well as curating a list of influencers. You might also want a designer. It kind of depends on who's working there. So if you've already noticed, what I've mentioned is that the top social media team has at least 3 people. That doesn't mean they have to be full-time. However, if they can be, that's great. That's ideal. That means you're really plowing through your social. But let's get into branding now. So making sure everything looks the same. By now, I'd hope to think that this is common sense, but it needs to be aesthetic. It needs to look the exact same way. Keep your brand voice, your brand aesthetic, all that stuff the exact same. come up with a cohesive look, find yourself a graphic designer, which I kind of just mentioned, and you're going to want to have your graphic designer create templates. So it doesn't need to be wildly templated, otherwise it's going to look wildly templated. But if you have them create kind of a concept for each category of post that you're going to be doing, it's going to make it go a lot faster. It's going to be a lot more efficient. Posting. So you're going to want your social media manager to post daily. That's my suggestion, at least daily, and around 3 to 5 stories a day at a minimum. Sometimes more, very rarely less. You're always going to want to share your own post and things like that. But always tag your products, always tag influencers or whoever else was mentioned in the video or in the image that you posted. Use anywhere from 10 to 30 hashtags. Now, once you pass that 10,000 follower mark, you can slow down the use of hashtags. You don't need to overdo them. They really help in the beginning to kind of get that extra reach, but you don't want to use shadow banned hashtags, which if you go to the hashtag, it will literally tell you that it's shadow banned. And you don't want to use too many hashtags. You want to use just right, and you want to change them up. Test using geotagging. So if you're local, if you have a retail shop, if you're brick and mortar somewhere, geotagging will always work for you. If not, you might want to change your geotagging based on maybe the influencer you're using or something like that. So tagging that location of the post can always work great as well. Experiment with doing single images, carousels, which can work great because of the engagement, or video. All those, test all of those, and then share all of your new posts into stories. So it's an easy one-off story post that you have. 2 more here. Okay, so outreach. So this is the most important one. Everyone thinks that this was the issue I had years ago when I was in hospitality. Everyone thinks that I made this beautiful picture or I had this great video and I posted it on Instagram. Now where are all my followers? That is not how this works. So you have to go out. Social media is about being social. You can't just be a wallflower and hide in the corner. Not everyone wants to approach the wallflower. Some people do, but not everyone. So you have to go out and talk to other people, and then they'll start coming to you. So have your community coordinator contact people or comment on other people or like other photos and things like that for at least 3 to 5 hours a day. And this is just Instagram. I haven't gotten into Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. That'll be another day, another podcast. You want them to like and reply to all comments. So whether they're on they're in your DMs, they're, from stories and things like that, or obviously they're on your own posts, or maybe they replied to a comment that you made on another post. Once a new post goes live, this always works really well. So once a new post goes live, you're going to want to go back to your previous posts and re-like everyone's comment. So let's say I posted yesterday and I got 500 comments and I liked and commented on all of them, and then I post today. As soon as that goes live, I'm going to go back to my post yesterday and I'm going to re-like all those comments. It's a way that Instagram will basically give them an alert that so-and-so liked your comment, and they'll look and go, why'd they just like my comment again? And they will actually go back to your profile and see that there's a new post. It sounds kind of like a weird growth hack, and it pretty much is, but it's got a great snowball effect of getting people who engaged with you the day before to come to the next day, and so on. Then go to the hashtags you're using, talk to people there. That's kind of self-explanatory. And then share other people's posts. And again, this is kind of relevant to what your branding is. So you may not always want to do this, but I always like to share at least 1 to 2 other companies, other influencers or customers' posts, as long as they're not a competitor. And then last, optimize. So on a monthly basis, have your social media manager go back and see what were the best times that you posted. Have them tag the type of post that you're doing. You can do this in Sprout Social, which is what we use. And you can basically go back and see, like, okay, all of our videos did well, or all of our videos containing this did well. And you'll really start to know what's working and what's not. You're going to want to optimize your profile image, description, link, try using Linktree, stuff like that. That one's also kind of explanatory. Have a pretty self-explanatory CTA. And then on a weekly basis, reevaluate the hashtags you're using and adjust accordingly. So make sure you're always seeing which hashtags actually worked. You don't want to overuse them because you could get banned from using them. And the last thing you want is to get banned on Instagram. It's a pain in the ass. But I feel like that was more than enough. So that's all I got for you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr. a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.